Hi guys, so I'm doing another Tinkerbell movie. This is actually the fourth movie, Tinkerbell and the Secret of the Wings. And I just want to say something. In all of my other videos, I think I've mentioned it. My favorite Tinkerbell movie is this movie, Tinkerbell Secret of the Wings. It's my ultimate favorite. But recently I've been feeling kind of like a fraud because turns out I like to call myself a big Disney fairies fan, but I haven't watched the last two movies. This is actually the last Tinkerbell movie I ever watched. I don't know why, but I did not watch Never Beast, and I didn't watch the Pirate Fairy one. I did not watch it, so I do feel kind of like a fraud for saying this is my favorite Tinkerbell movie when I haven't seen the others. So don't worry, this is not the last Tinkerbell video. I will be making videos on the two that I haven't seen because apparently everybody's favorite is Never Beast, and I should have watched it, but I am gonna watch it. But anyway, this is about Tinkerbell and the Secret of the Wings because while it was my favorite and still kind of is my favorite, I have many issues with this movie. And if you watched all of my other Tinkerbell videos, you would already know what some of my issues are with this. Because number one, Queen Clarion does play a part in this movie, and if you know me, you know I don't like that woman. I have levels of patience, but to her it does not reach her. It does not reach her. I don't like that woman. I think she's a terrible ruler. If you are a Queen Clarion stan, this is not the place for you because I do not like that woman, and I will say it 1,000 times. I don't like her, okay? And also, I will get to the main issue right at the beginning of this movie, actually, because it starts off with it. It does, in fact. So the movie starts out with them saying that, the Winter Woods is known for being misunderstood and all of that, which, yeah, this is the main problem with the movie. This whole movie is about, oh, the Winter Woods, the Winter Fairies, we just don't talk to them, they can't come here, we don't go there. What? This is weird because literally in every other movie, we see the Winter Fairies. We see them in, the normal Pixie Hollow, the warm side, constantly. In the first movie, Tinkerbell was given a snowflake as an option to be a Winter Fairy. So, why are we doing this? As much as I love this movie, this one structural issue pissed me off the entire time I was rewatching it because this simply just does not make any sense. And why did they do this in the first place? If every other movie we see the Winter Fairies and we know that they can come into the warm side, why are we doing this? And it's not that oh, maybe this movie happened before the others. No, that's just not true. That's just not true. That doesn't make sense either. So it's just why did we do this? Do you know what I mean? But if we put that main structural issue aside, the movie does have other problems, but the rest of the movie is pretty good. So I will be glazing this movie because I really do love this movie, guys. But that is my main structural issue, and it will come up again because it really does irk me. It really does irk me. But anyways, all of the Disney fairy movies, it starts off with us seeing all of the fairies doing their thing. And I just want to say, guess who's friends with the rest of the fairies now? Vidya. And as you know, I feel very strongly towards Vidya, especially after Great Fairy Rescue, which is also one of my favorite movies. And Vidya is kind of the goat, and I'm glad she has a group of friends now because notice how she's less nasty now. Notice how her criticism is constructive now. Exactly. She just needed a good group of people to surround herself with, and I'm glad to see this recovery for Vidya, okay? But what is happening at the start of the movie is the Tinkers are making baskets that they need to send to the Winter Woods so that they can have a place to store snowflakes or something like that. But the Winter Fairies aren't gonna come and fetch the baskets because they can't come to the warm side. Right. Not like we didn't see them in every other movie, but anyway, they need to send snow owls to come and fetch it. So that's what the Tinkers are doing. This is Tinkerbell's first winter, supposedly. So she really wants to go to the Winter Woods. Do you know why? Because she's Tinkerbell, and when there is something that can go wrong, Tinkerbell's gonna do it. There is no question about it. If there's a rule in place, Tinkerbell will try her best to break it. You know how Tinkerbell is. This is the fourth movie. If you've been watching all of my other Tinkerbell videos, you know. When there's a problem to be had, Tinkerbell is the one having that problem. But anyway, she really wants to go to the Winter Woods, but she can't. They told her, Tinkerbell, you can't be doing that. But when has that ever stopped Tinkerbell? Anyway, her animal friend Fawn, my goat Fawn, she and the other animal fairies are trying to bring the animals over to the winter woods because of hibernation, you know the deal. But Tinkerbell, she like tells Tinkerbell about this, and Tinkerbell wants to come with to go help her because she thinks Fawn goes into the winter woods with the animals. So she helps Fawn, they go to the border. She now realized, because she's like, Fawn, aren't you gonna go? And then Fawn was like, oh, no, we would literally die. We would literally die. We don't do that. So Tinkerbell's disappointed because the only reason she came with is she thought that they were going to the winter woods. But while Fawn is distracted doing her actual job, which is something Tinkerbell would know nothing about, because when does Tinkerbell ever do her job? Tinkerbell goes into the winter woods, despite literally everybody telling her that it's mad dangerous and she could die while doing this. Anyway, now that Tinkerbell's in the winter woods, where she's specifically not supposed to be, her wings start like tingling and whatever, and you can hear like this magical music, which, by the way, this is a random side note. When I was a child, this music actually used to freak me the fuck out. I don't know what it was, but it used to scare me to like a genuine like fear level, which shows how much I actually love this movie. Because if I was willing to put up with that music just because I love the plot that much, that's how you know I actually really did love this movie. But anyway, this music plays and you can hear Wendy's laugh in the background. Keep in mind, Tinkerbell was born from Wendy's laugh, but you can hear it in the background. Fawn sees that her trifling ass friend crossed the border, so she pulls her back, and Tinkerbell's wings are frozen, which is exactly what everybody said would happen. So Fawn takes Tinkerbell to a healing fairy. And now this also brings another question. Healing fairies were never seen before, or maybe if it was, I didn't see it. But when Tinkerbell was born, we didn't see no healing fairy like element that Tinkerbell could have picked from, not that I remember. So it's like, is there other talents that are just not presented, and it's like kind of like, oh, from your vibe we just don't think you're gonna do that, so we're not gonna put that there regardless? Like, is it like, do they see like whose rosters already full? Like, do we need more healing fairies, or we full up about healing fairies right now? And I know I shouldn't question this because there's much bigger questions in the Tinkerbell universe. Number one, this entire movie, this Winter Fairy bullshit, is the biggest question. But you know, if we could discuss Pixie Hollow's like structural practices, this would be a question I would ask. Like, just like my structural issue with the first movie about certain fairies not being allowed to go to the mainland, modern day fairy apartheid. But anyway, I'm not going to get political again like I did in the first Tinkerbell video, because I think I spoke long enough about my political issues with Pixie Hollow. But anyway, Tinkerbell's wings are frozen and she's by the healing fairy. Tinkerbell's friends come and visit her by the healing fairy or whatever, and the doctor fairy tells her like, there's nothing wrong with your wings, but don't be doing that shit again. But Tinkerbell asks the doctor like, yo, but like my wings were sparkling, like what about that? And the fairy was like, what? Like what? And then her friends are like, Tinkerbell, we're so glad you're okay. And she was like, guys, no, like you don't understand. My wings, they were glittering, they were shining. And her friends are like, oh, maybe we should call the doctor back because somebody is hallucinating. Somebody's really hallucinating. And she was like, no, guys, deadass, like you just had to be there. Like Fawn was there, Fawn saw, and Fawn's like, okay, like no, she didn't see none of that. So Tinkerbell looks absolutely batshit like insane right now. And like, you know what, I would believe her friends, because Tinkerbell does be like exaggerating some things. Like sometimes, like they are right not to trust her, they are right to think she's crazy, because she do be crazy on multiple occasions. So you know what, this is justified. But Tinkerbell is right, her wings were glittering and she's not taking no for an answer. So she goes to the library to find a book about wings, because maybe there's something about glittering wings in there. She finds, I think the book's called Wingology, and it moves. It's actually really cute. You know, a lot of this movie, like just the random details are really cute. Like the animals in this movie are so like, oh, like, you know, Disney had their big one with the Disney fairies. I am so upset it was cancelled. But you know, Disney can be blamed for a lot of treacherous cancellations, like the fact that when Descendants came out, Ever After High was cancelled. Like, Disney, fuck you, dude. But anyway, Wingology. She got Wingology, but when she opened it, she found a page about the wings glittering, but bookworms, actual bookworms, ate it. So she's like, now what? So she goes and asks the librarian, like, yo, where can I get this page? You know, where would I find one of those? The librarian then tells Tinkerbell that the keeper would know, like, what was in those missing pages, because the keeper wrote the books. And then Tinkerbell's like, okay, so great, like, where's the keeper? Like, do you have his number? And he was like, No, silly, the keeper is a winter fairy, which means you can't talk to him. And Tinkerbell does not take no for an answer. Tinkerbell, if there's one thing she's gonna do, is find out. She is gonna find out. So she decides she's gonna go to the winter woods, but she doesn't want to freeze her ass off. So she makes a custom outfit or whatever that she can hide her wings in so that she doesn't die. So Tinkerbell won't be able to fly there, but she has a plan. She's gonna hop into the baskets that's going to the winter woods that the owls are carrying. Now, this is nothing I want to say. Notice how Tinkerbell has time to do all of this bullshit, and all of the other Tinker Fairies are working on the baskets like they are supposed to be doing. This is why it pisses me off that they treat Tinkerbell like she's the head tinkerer, like she's the head tinker. And it's like, I feel like everybody puts in so much work just for Tinkerbell to get the glory just because her name is Tinkerbell. Like, is she really a prodigy? Like, I know her talent was glowing, but so was Vidya's, and we barely see Vidya doing a job. Now, I'm not saying that Vidya doesn't do a job, because she's actually one fairy that I believe clocks in on time, clocks out on time, maybe works overtime. Like, I believe she's actually very hardworking, but we just don't see it. Tinkerbell only seems to tinker for selfish purposes. Now, is my girl talented? Yes, she is. I will never dispute that. She has a good head on her shoulders, but when is she ever doing anything for the community? Other than like when people tell her to do something. Do you know what I'm trying to say? We see her helping out on occasions, but when it's really time for like some jobs to get done, she wants to do her own shit. Only at a moment of catastrophe does Tinkerbell step in to remedy the situation. And you know what usually causes the catastrophe? Right, Tinkerbell. And maybe if she was doing her job, she wouldn't have time to get into bullshit, because we don't see Bobble and Clank really getting into bullshit. Sometimes they get into bullshit when the inventions doesn't work, but that's because they were doing what they were supposed to in the first place by innovating. Tinkerbell's always doing something else. Is she innovative? Yes, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. I hope you catch my drift. But anyway, Tinkerbell's gonna sneak into one of those baskets. So Tinkerbell has the Wingology book because she wants to take it with her to the Winterwood so she can ask the keeper like specifically about that one section. And then when she tries to jump into the basket, Bobble and Clank, my goats, are there, and they're like, Tinkerbell, what are you doing? And she's like, sorry guys, I just have to go. And they're like, you could die. Like, we are actually really worried that you might not come back. And she was like, guys, I just have to go. And Fairy Mary comes, so Bobble and Clank hide Tinkerbell, so they don't have time to like talk her out of it. And Tinkerbell goes to the Winter Woods. Unfortunately, Tinkerbell has bad luck. So like there was a brand new fairy, like the brand new snow owl that isn't really good at flying, that happens to take her basket. So when she gets to the Winter Woods, because she does get there successfully, the basket like kind of falls over, but Tinkerbell's underneath it, but the book slides across the ice, which lands by Lord Milori's feet. Now, Lord Milori is the Queen Clarion of the Winter Woods, and just like Queen Clarion, I don't like Lord Milori, because I will get to my issue with those two later when it comes up in the plot. But just know, I am neither of their fans. I'm neither of their fans in any way. But anyway, the book lands by Lord Milori's feet, and he was like, oh, Warm Fairy must have dropped it here. Somebody take this back to the keeper. So think about years that somebody's going to the keeper, and she decides to go and follow that fairy. By the way, the fairy that Lord Milori sends, I think his name is like Slade or something. Genuinely, this fairy is finer than any other warm fairy. Like, just saying, I understand why Queen Clarion was so desperate to be with a winter fairy. Like, this is the one thing I'll agree with her on, because that's all I'm gonna say. That's shout out to my girl Rosetta. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, Tinkerbell goes and follows this fairy into the keeper's house and whatever. And when she gets there, her wings, well, first of all, she struggles to even walk through there because she can't walk on ice, like she's slipping around. But her wings start shining. But while she's like trying to find the keeper and her wings are shining, she overhears the keeper talking to another fairy who's telling the keeper that like her wings are shining, like was shining the other day and now it's shining right now. Both of their wings are shining. They see each other. It's so sweet. And like, this movie is such a masterpiece, actually. If only it was like law accurate. If only the other winter fairies were not visible in the other movies. Like, this movie would have been so perfect. But anyway, their wings are shining. The keeper, he's so hyped right now because he's like, I've literally never seen this happen. Like, I wrote about it, but I've never seen this shit in my life. So what happens is, think about this other fairy, like they stand on this platform and they get raised up, and like there's this projection that shows them like how this whole thing works or whatever. And basically what had happened, which is causing the sparkling of wings, is when a fairy is born from a baby's laugh, like, you know, they born from a baby's laugh. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway, when Tinkerbell was born, there was actually two fairies born from Wendy's laugh. So it was Tinkerbell and Periwinkle, the winter fairy whose wings are also sparkling, meaning Tinkerbell has a twin sister. They are so hyped because this is basically unheard of. Like, obviously maybe it's happened, which is why it's in the book, but this is basically unheard of. And it's just like such a sweet moment. Like, you know what, in this movie I really respect Tinkerbell, because while some of her actions were selfish and she almost causes the end of the fairy race, I like that she has a sister. I don't know, it was a very sweet moment, and I'm really a big fan of Periwinkle. But anyway, she has a sister, and their wings, because they're twins, are identical, and that's why they were sparkling. We also find out that it sparkles like when they're close by, and the reason why it sparkled that day at the border is because Tinkerbell crossed the border, and Periwinkle was at the border because she wanted to see the warm animals cross into hibernation. So they were both there. They are then interrupted because Lord Milori comes in to go talk to the keeper. So they hide Tinkerbell, obviously, because she's not supposed to be there. And Lord Milori asks the keeper about the book because he's worried that a warm fairy might have crossed the border. And he reminds the keeper that we can't have any of that happening because it's extremely dangerous. So if you hear anything about a warm fairy, or if you find a warm fairy, you need to send them back because it's mad dangerous. The keeper's name is also Dewey because he says that's what his friends call him. So he tells Tinkerbell that she can call him Dewey. But anyway, he tells Tinkerbell that she needs to go home before like nighttime, because that's when it's gonna get really, really cold. And she won't be able to survive. But he tells Tinkerbell like, you can stay for a bit. So Periwinkle gives Tinkerbell the tour of the winter woods, while Tinkerbell is giving Periwinkle a rundown of every past movie that we had, which I like. I love shit like this. I really do, because it really makes all of it feel connected. And big news for the Terrence Tinkerbell shippers. Me, because I love them together. Periwinkle asked Tinkerbell, so is Terrence your boyfriend? And she's like, and she doesn't deny it. She doesn't confirm it, but she doesn't deny it. She says something like, oh, I don't know, like, they are in love, and I don't know if they get together in the other movies. Probably not, because we already had a Terrence Tinkerbell movie which was a disaster, as we know. But like, I just want them to be together, and I know it's not gonna happen because the franchise is over, but like, we could have had it, man. We could have had it. But anyway, Periwinkle is giving Tinkerbell a tour of the winter woods, and Periwinkle tells Tinkerbell that she is a frost fairy, which means she frosts things. I don't know how to describe it anything better than that, but like, it's not like she can freeze stuff, it's just a layer of frost, you know. And also Periwinkle collects lost things as well, but she calls them found things. How sweet, you guys. Like, I love these two. I really, this movie, guys, this movie. Periwinkle also introduces Tinkerbell to her friends, and her friends are really cool and cunty, and like, wow, like the winter forest, eh? Like, can I just say? But anyway, she introduces her to her friends. She has like one video type friend that was just like, yo, I just don't think this is a good idea, you know, constructive criticism, but the other friends were really supportive. But anyway, it's now getting late, and Periwinkle tells Tinkerbell she has always wanted to see butterflies, but she can't because they're not in the winter woods. And then they realize it's actually getting really late, and Dewey comes and tells them, listen, you need to go back home, and you shouldn't be crossing the border anymore. Like, I hate to do this to you. Dewey's actually quite upset about it. He's like crying, and he tells them they need to say goodbye because like they can't be doing this, you know, this is very unsafe. So they go and greet each other by the border, but Tinkerbell whispers in Periwinkle's ear that she needs to meet her by the border the next day because she has an idea as to how to bring Periwinkle to the warm side, you know. Tinkerbell immediately goes to talk to Bobble and Clank and explains the situation to them, and explains that she has a plan, and tells them, you guys need to keep it the secret though. They obviously don't keep it the secret, and they go and tell Tinkerbell's friends immediately, and her friends come and help, and they like really supportive and like excited about this, because this literally is unheard of. This does not happen, period. Like, it's just genuinely unheard of. Tinkerbell's plan is to bring Periwinkle all into the warm area, and go to meet Queen Clarion, and then Queen Clarion's gonna be so moved by Periwinkle and Tinkerbell's relationship that she is gonna change Lord Milori's rule overnight, because they said it's Lord Milori's rule that these like fairies can't be crossing borders. And Vidya, being the voice of reason, is like, yo, like it's cool that you have a sister, whatever, but I don't think Queen Clarion's gonna be too happy about you smuggling a fairy across the border. But Tinkerbell's like, no, like I know Queen Clarion, she's gonna change the law overnight. And it's like, well, this is a good representation of what a bad ruler Queen Clarion is, that you think she would change a rule overnight that's clearly there for a reason. But anyway, they decide that they're going to make this machine that will allow Periwinkle to cross the border for a specific amount of time, so that she can get the tour, meet everybody, and that's the plan. The whole thing is like, it's like a car, but it's also a grater on the back. So like as the car moves, the grater also moves at the same time, and the grater will grate ice, which will make an ice shower that Periwinkle can fly under, therefore she will stay cold. So she asked like Periwinkle to bring like a giant block of ice, like if she has any ice fairies, glacier fairies in fact, they must just get a giant block of ice, so then that will grate while she's in the warm area. They meet at the border, and all of Periwinkle's friends are really excited actually, and her version of Video Spike tells her like, yo, I just don't think this is really that safe or that much of a good idea, but like Video, nobody listens to her, and Periwinkle decides to go anyway, and luckily the machine works, and they do have a nice moment where Tinkerbell is giving Periwinkle a tour and showing, and her friends like put on a show for Periwinkle, and it's really nice and sweet. And Rosetta gives Periwinkle a periwinkle flower, which Periwinkle frosts it so that she can keep it forever. It's a really sweet moment, but unfortunately it does not last, as the ice starts running out and Periwinkle faints, or like she's getting weak in the heat. They rush back to the border because obviously Homegirl just fainted, and they need to like get her out before she dies, which is exactly the risk that they told him would happen. But they take her back to the border, and Lord Milori is there, and he takes Periwinkle and he's like, you guys shouldn't have crossed the border, like the rules are there for a reason, what were you thinking? And Periwinkle's now in the cold, so like she's getting like colder and she's fine now, but he tells them like, y'all shouldn't be doing this shit, and he's obviously like hurt and upset about it, because he can tell like they're sisters and he doesn't want to be separating him, but the rules are the rules. Tinkerbell tries like fighting Lord Milori on this rule, despite the fact that she almost killed her sister, but Queen Clarion comes and interrupts, and she says, listen Tinkerbell, this isn't Lord Milori's rule, it's my rule, and that is final, girl, like don't start the rules are here for a reason. And then Tinkerbell actually realizes she does need to separate from her sister, so Tinkerbell's like quite upset, and then Lord Milori and Queen Clarion give each other a longing look. Now when I was younger, I did not feel so strongly against Queen Clarion as I do now. I actually liked her quite a bit, and can I just say, this was drama, this was like big soapy vibes. I was really into the dilemma here, I was catching on, but I'm gonna get more to that like literally right now. But before I get into Lord Milori and Queen Clarion, I need to get into the big catastrophe of this movie, which is after like the girls leave, Lord Milori decides that he's gonna use like one of the snow owls to kick the machine that Tinkerbell made into the river, so that like to break it, because he doesn't want it being used again, so that winter fairies don't try cross into the warm side again. Unfortunately, it gets stuck in the river like against the ice thing, so now the machine is just continuously like creating ice, because the water is also moving the pedals, so it's just making a continuous like tornado of snow. But they don't know that yet. Tinkerbell is so upset, and she goes and talks to Queen Clarion, and she's like, why the fuck would you do this? Like, that's my sister. That's my sister. Let me see her. Why, Queen Clarion, you're supposed to be so fair, which she's not fair. She's not the fair ruler, but she's like, that's my sister. Why can't I see her? But then Queen Clarion tells Tinkerbell a story about a winter fairy and a warm fairy that fell in love one time. And by the way, Lord Milori is telling the same story to Periwinkle, because the winter fairy and the warm fairy is obviously Queen Clarion and Lord Milori, which once again, this was drama when I was a child. This was big tea. But anyway, the fact was that they fell in love, and then the winter fairy tried to cross into the warm section, and because they can't, the winter fairy's wing broke, and now he can never fly again, which is why the warm fairy, Queen Clarion, put in a rule that no fairy should ever like cross the border because they're gonna get hurt. So she did it because she didn't want what happened to Lord Milori to ever happen to anybody else. And I have thoughts on this, and I'll get to it at the end, because like I feel like they did not handle this the way they should have. But anyway, while this is all happening, Tinkerbell sees a snowflake outside, and she's like, what the fuck? So then they rush to the border, and they see that machine that they made is now continuously grating like ice, and like ministers, the other like fairy ministers, also rush to the border because they saw snow as well, and there's like a cyclone of snow, and it's starting to freeze the warm section, which is obviously really, really bad. And once again, I just want to say this, I think I've said this in one of my other Think About videos, but imagine being another fairy in Pixie Hollow. Like, imagine being a random fairy in Pixie Hollow, and like once every season there's just some bullshit, there's like something really bad happening, and you look outside and you see Tinkerbell running around, and you just know, like, imagine it was your off day, like you were on your weekend, you're on your holiday, you just have your off day, and you just want to lump, you just want to relax, and you look outside and it's Tinkerbell doing some bullshit. Like, I would want to move. I would want to become unemployed, because simply she's always risking other people's lives. And this time I know this cause was worthy. This was a worthy cause, but it's like, oh, I'd be so tired. Like, even at the one where she had to make the moonstone like staff, I'd be so mad if we at this like event waiting for the new staff to be unlocked and nobody can find Tinkerbell. I'd just be like, dang, this bitch did it again. She can't do nothing. But anyway, the warm area is freezing over, which is obviously really bad, because if the pixie dust tree gets frozen over, there's no more pixie dust, which means every fairy is screwed, even the winter fairies, because the winter fairies get their pixie dust from the big pixie dust tree, and with no pixie dust, nobody can do their fairy shit, and also Terrence becomes unemployed, and Fairy Gary, and we cannot have Fairy Gary unemployed. This is obviously a deep, deep issue. Bobble and Clank are already at the border because they saw the snow like first, and they're trying to dislodge the machine, and they get it dislodged, but unfortunately, because of the snow cyclone situation, the balance of seasons have already been like thrown out. Like, it's imbalanced now, I guess. So that's why Pixie Hollow is being frozen over, which, like I said, bad. Tinkerbell runs to her house, and in her house she sees the frosted periwinkle. Yeah, periwinkle. Yeah, the flower, guys. I'm talking about the flower. And when she breaks the frost open, she sees that the flower is still like fresh and alive. So she has an idea. Meanwhile, Periwinkle brings Dewey to like their section of the pixie dust tree, because she's showing him like the pixie dust is not coming out like properly, like smoothly. There is something wrong. They are then interrupted with Tinkerbell running in. Well, she was flying in actually with no cover, like she's bare. Tinkerbell is flying in to the winter woods, like rushing to get to Periwinkle, and she tells Periwinkle what's happening, and her idea is that she must come to the warm area because it's cold now. The winter fairies can be in the warm area because it's literally frozen over, and she wants them to frost the pixie dust tree so that the tree will still be alive. So it would be like Periwinkle and her two friends, because that's the ones Tinkerbell knows. Unfortunately, while Tinkerbell is in the winter woods, her wings freeze over, so they try to keep her warm, and then they decide they're gonna go to the warm area and do Tinkerbell's plan. While they're there, all of the other warm fairies are freaking out because they're trying to cover the tree with blankets, which, like, I would need them to think a little harder, but they're trying to cover the tree with blankets, and it's not working because the wind keeps blowing away. And all of the warm fairies need to find a place to hide, because when this place freezes over, they are gonna get hurt too. But anyway, Tinkerbell brings the three fairies, and they explain the plan, and they let them do the plan, but the freezing is moving too fast. The girls cannot frost the entire tree in time. But luckily, during this time, Lord Milori comes in with a bunch of the other fairies to come and help, all of the winter fairies. It's actually it's a fun scene. I'm having a good time. Like, this is cinema, guys. This is actual cinema. such a good movie. So yeah, the other winter fairies coming up, and Lord Milori and Queen Clarion almost have like this emotional moment, which kind of was pissing me off. Like, and like Periwinkle and Tinkerbell, it's like, guys, like I understand, like you're happy to see each other, but genuinely, your lives are at stake here. I need them to get the move on, and they were not moving on as fast as I needed them to be. But anyway, they end up freezing up the whole tree, frosting up the whole tree, and the warm fairies go to hide. And it's actually so cold that even the winter fairies are seen shivering, so that's how you know it's bad. But the warm fairies are all in hiding, and then when they see the sun come out, they go outside and they're waiting to see, like, yo, is the PC dust tree okay? Yes, it is. The frost starts melting and everything is fine. And because the frost fairies, because there were so many winter fairies, they were able to not only frost the pixie dust tree, but like a lot of the other places, but not the autumn woods, because the autumn woods was already frozen over by the time they called the frost fairies. But now everybody's happy. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Like, finally, you know. Which also I do think this is a bit weird that when the sun comes out, the winter fairies are still okay in the warm area. They are still doing fine actually for quite a bit with no ice. But anyway, everybody's really happy except for Tinkerbell. Everybody's like, Tinkerbell, what's wrong? She takes off her coat. Her wing is like torn in half. Everybody's like, yo, what the fuck? And can I just say, I was crying real tears. And I'm not talking about as a child. I'm talking about this like last week when I rewatched this. I was crying real tears, even though I knew exactly what was gonna happen. Oh, it's just really good, you know. And Tinkerbell's crying, and she's like, okay, this is what I wanted to say. Tinkerbell may be selfish for the most part, but this movie, she sacrificed flying. She sacrificed being like fundamentally a fairy to save Pixie Hollow. Because if she didn't rush there on a timely manner as she did, the fairy dust would be over for everybody, you know. And Tinkerbell sacrificed her wings just so she could get there on time. Like, she actually is the goat. Like, I talk shit about Tinkerbell too much, and I need to give my respects to her in this moment. Shout out to Tinkerbell. She saved Pixie Hollow. Would Pixie Hollow be in this predicament if it wasn't for her? No. Pixie Hollow would actually be healthier if not for her. But she messed up, and she sacrificed herself to fix it. That's all I have to say. But anyway, Periwinkle's really upset because she's like, oh my god, you know? Lord Milori and Queen Clarion feel really bad because they're like, we shouldn't have kept you guys apart, but now it's getting hotter and we need to go, and now your wing's broken. It's like, guys, exactly what we said was gonna happen happened. So Tinkerbell and Periwinkle need to say goodbye, and they do this thing where they put their wings up against each other like they did when they first met and their wings were sparkling. And while they put it up against each other, that is what heals Tinkerbell's wings because they're identical, I guess. I don't actually know how this works, and unfortunately, this is not a fix for all fairies because this literally only works because they are twin sisters. So if this happens to another fairy, they are fucked if they do not have an identical sibling. But anyway, Tinkerbell's wings are healed. That was resolved really quickly, and everything is fine now. But the winter fairies do need to get back because the sun is getting too hot. So I'm glad they explained that, because even though I think it took a bit too long, but anyway, they need to go back now. Queen Clarion and Lord Milori kiss in front of everybody, which they resolve that, and now everybody's happy and everything's fine. And this is just what I want to talk about. The movie ends by showing that basically the warm fairies can now go into the winter woods by, like, when they get to the border, a frost fairy frosts their wings, and then they can like and they just wear warmer clothes, and then they can just spend the day in the winter forest and nothing will happen to them because, as we know, frost can protect what's inside. There still is no fix from what we saw of getting a winter fairy into the warm area, but now we know that warm fairies can go into the winter woods. Now this is my problem. Lord Milori and Queen Clarion, genuinely, how are they the ones in charge? Genuinely, how are they the ones in charge? Specifically Queen Clarion, because Lord Milori we have not seen that he has tinkers. We don't think that they have tinkers in the winter section. Queen Clarion, you have tinkers. It's an entire fairy department about innovation and engineering. And not once in your, because you as the leader is supposed to be like, you know what's an issue we could fix? This whole winter woods warm fairy section. and who better to entrust than my engineering department? But Queen Clarion, oh, she loved Lord Milori so much. If you loved him, you would go to the engineers and be like, listen, this is a situation. Can we get this fixed? Can we have like a no border community maybe? But she doesn't think to do that. She just thinks, oh, we just should never cross ever. As a leader, should you not be boosting innovation? As a leader, should you not want innovation? Should you not want fixes? I just don't understand. If this was such a heartbreaking thing to you, why wouldn't you try to fix it? And I'm not even saying she should have fixed it, but clearly you have like a whole team of engineers who are clearly capable of thinking up solutions, as we've seen in every movie, including this movie where they thought up a solution. But you never thought to ask them, Queen Clarion? Once again, who put this woman in charge? I once again would like to nominate Fairy Mary, a real engineer, a real innovator, even though is she really an innovator? Because as we know, she crushes Tinkerbell's innovations in the, like, her concepts of innovations in the first movie, but afterwards she became really supportive, and who better than an innovator to lead the country? Now, Tinkerbell is not included in that. I don't think Tinkerbell should lead any nation. We know what she does when she literally should not have any power. Let's not give her more power. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, why did Queen Clarion not just ask the Tinkers in the first place? I do not understand. But anyway, they should still find a fix for getting the winter fairies into the warm section, even though I don't know how they would do that. But I'm not a Tinker Fairy. I'm not an engineer. Maybe you should ask the Tinker Fairies. But once again, the Disney Fairies franchise has long ended, so I guess we'll never find out. But I would love to know. Also, Rosetta ends up like talking to the really fine Winter Fairy, and you know that's why Rosetta's my favorite. Shout out to Rosetta, she's a real one. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Tinkerbell Secret of the Wings, which is the best movie so far. It's the fourth one. I will do the others soon. I'll try my best. And like I said, I've never seen those. So you should subscribe maybe to see my first thoughts, my first time watching those movies. But yeah, I don't know when that's gonna come out. But trust, it will come out. And you should subscribe anyway. But anyway, bye.